You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast hosted by Matt Franks and Zach Bechtold. We hope you enjoy this week's show, and you can find out more about us by going online at beardedtheologians.com, where you can pick up a few t-shirts, listen to a few old episodes, and find ways that you can connect with us. Thank you for listening. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast hosted by Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold. And today we have, again, another special guest with us, friend of the podcast and just all around good human being and friend of ours. You don't have to put that look on your face.
I was going to emphasize special, like very special guest. Like,
like he's beyond special guest. I mean, he's just correspondent.
What?
I mean,
correspondent.
Yeah, can I raise to the level of correspondent instead of in guest? Okay, cool.
I think so.
Guest correspondent, in the field correspondent.
Correct. If you haven't guessed, we have the Reverend Matt Rawle on with us again today. Yay,
Hello,
cheers.
friends. Hello, friends. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Matt, glad to have you on, man.
Sure.
What's really fun about having you on today is in the past 19 times we've had you on, you've had a book to talk about. That's different today. We have you on just to chat about life.
Just to talk. How fun is this? I don't have a book coming out.
You're not selling anything today.
Not for that's right. I'm not hawking any goods on you today.
But yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
Sure.
You've made some transitions in your life and ministry and into a new place. We were joking before we hit record that Matt and I have moved collectively about 42 times, and in the 9 years that we've been doing this and the 19 episodes you've done with us. So it'd be good to get your take on that and some upcoming things that you have that you're working on and just life in general, because that's what we do here.
Yeah, so I've now moved essentially back home to New Orleans, to NOLA. I grew up in Slidell, which is just north of New Orleans. It's on the North Shore, as we say. So I moved from Shreveport-Bossier to New Orleans, it's not quite moving to a different country, but like it's close.
Mm-hmm.
It's close. Like the currency's the same, but only slightly. So being in South Louisiana is quite different than being in North Louisiana. But it's good. And this is a pretty unique situation, actually. So I serve two churches, but it's not a 2-point charge. For those in the Methodist world, we'll know some of that language of a 2-point charge. It's actually a dual appointment. So it's two different churches, two different systems, two different communities. They don't share resources, and they're not really in ministry with each other. Now, we are connectional as United Methodist congregations, right? So there is a shared mission and vision in theology and these kind of things. But they are not. It's not meant to be a merger. It is two separate. So, one of the things I'm involved with is the Hub for Innovation, and we've talked a little bit about that. And basically, the Louisiana Conference said, "Okay, Mr. Innovation, like here you go.
Here's your chance.
Figure it out. Bet." They just kind of said bet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm appointed to St. Matthew's United Methodist Church in Metairie, Louisiana. We're currently living in the St. Matthew's parsonage, which, by the way, is like 14 minutes from the New Orleans airport.
Hey-o.
And I am so thrilled. It's a great, like when folks are coming to town or whatever, they're going, taking a trip, they park at our house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a quick, either Uber drive, depending on what time, or 14-minute drive. I love it. It's so great. And the New Orleans airport is amazing. I think it's amazing. There's some nostalgia there, but because I go to Nashville a lot with the publishing house, and New Orleans to Nashville, there's like 5 flights a day. It's like $95 one way. It's just really, really fantastic. I'm super thankful. So I'm serving St. Matthew's United Methodist Church in Metairie, Louisiana. I'm also serving Carrollton United Methodist Church, which is on South Carrollton Avenue in the Garden District of New Orleans. And both communities are quite, every church is unique and exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, like every church has kind of their unique story, their unique perspective. But also when you get a big group of people together for an extended period of time, there's some commonality in the ways that they function. There's kind of 4 flavors of church. There's and conveniently there's also Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I don't know if you ever talked about this, like the 4 different kind of flavors.
I thought you meant the Gospels. Probably not.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about ice cream. So Ben and Jerry's just came. John's flavor is like out there, man. It's like there's like layers of, there's and Mark kind of finished quickly. You just kind of just like breeze right through it. Luke, you have to keep sharing your ice cream with like a bunch of outsiders and like riff raff and But Matthew's flavor is very systematic. You feel like you're fulfilling something as you're eating it. After you eat it, you feel like watching the Ten Commandments. Because it's kind of like Moses, but it's not really Moses. Anyway,
so really, what we're here to talk about is Matt Rawle's new book, The Gospel According to Ben and Jerry's.
Apparently, look, man, ideas are out there. They're always out there. 99 bad ideas get you to the one that changes the world.
That's right.
I think I'm on idea number 78 right now, so I still have plenty of time to go to like screw it up. Anyway, both of these churches have their unique identity and flavor, and they're not meant to merge. So it is a pretty unique position to be in, because technically I'm 75% at one of them and 25% at the other. And one thing, because I have a transition coach, his name is Dan, and one of the things that we're working through is, what does it mean to be 25% appointed to a place?
Yeah.
What does it even mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have the good luxury of being kicked out of the system entirely like Frank's has, but I don't know what it means to be 25% appointed somewhere, or 75% for that matter. Like,
Right.
what does that even mean? Does that mean I'm like 9 to noon at one place and 2 to 4 in another? Does it mean, is it time? Is it finance? Is it brain space? Like, what are we talking about? So we're all trying to figure that out together. It boils, for me, in my brain, it boils down to system and soul. And I know there's a group that is called System and Soul. But one congregation is in need of systematic soul building. And the other congregation, I think, is in need of soulful systems.
Right.
So for one of them, they need to build trust with each other. They need to diversify leadership. So that systematic soul building with one another. In the other congregation, they need soulful systems. Like, so what does it mean for a new person to come to the church? Who connects them with whom? Right? Is there a membership directory? Because it's very kind of church plant-ish in its vibe, kind of a thing. So yeah, we're learning all of that, and being in a new place and a new space, we learned, okay, so I learned that I was moving the Thursday after Mother's Day, which is really late.
That is late. Yeah.
In our system. And it's so late. I mean, it's an interesting story that I will tell you while not being recorded. how all of that went down. Anyway, so, but we got here so late that we missed the window for like school registration, which I think is a clergy person's nightmare. Is all of a sudden they're like, okay, yes, I've said yes to this appointment, and now you start getting into the weeds of it, and you're like, oh my God, like, where are my kids going to go to school? Like, what does it even look like? So my kids actually go to school about 40 minutes away, in Slidell, on the North Shore. Now, the really cool thing about that, which I think is pretty unique in our line of work, friends, is my daughter Anna Lee is going to the high school I went to when I was a kid, right? And that's I think, I have not studied this, but I think that's a rarity because of being appointed and going to these places. Like, how often do you have a high schooler at the same time in the same place when you're appointed close enough to the high school that you went to? So that's really cool that she is going to be an alumni of Slidell High School. In fact, they're doing like some retro night, like as a dance or something, and she's wearing my letter jacket, which is just kind of cool. Yeah. And recently, Anna Lee is her name, was cast as Cinderella in the school's production of Cinderella. So there's some little like circle of life kind of moments.
I mean, does she have? Is there in the theater? Is there a Matt was here like inscribed in like with your pocket knife that you carry on you?
No, and I'm kind of pissed off about that, and let me tell you why. Because when I was at Slidell High, we did all of our performances in the cafetorium. Okay,
Yeah.
this jacked up stage. Like, look, when you're like selling corn dogs and chicken nuggets, like a stone's throw away from where like the senior musical is, like it's not a good vibe. Like the entire audience is sitting on those little plastic chairs with the tables that you
With
fold
the table. Yep.
Yes, that's right. Super comfortable. After I
10
graduated,
minutes in, everybody's like, oh God.
yeah. About 10 minutes in, they're like, is this where I pick up the soup? Or is it after? Like, what is for lunch today? Anyway, so the year after I graduated, like the very next year, they built an auditorium and like with like stage seating and like stage lights and like all this, like a backstage. They're like flying in set pieces. They probably have people to do hair and makeup, like all this nonsense. And like, really, guys? Really? So, no, Matt Franks, there is not a place in this theater where I've carved my name because it didn't exist when I was there. And I'm just a little bitter about it because the minute I graduated, like, you know what? I think it's time for an upgrade.
Yeah.
Like, sweet. Okay.
Well,
Cool.
you're exactly right. We don't get that opportunity, right? We get to go to other schools and other towns and other places, or our kids do, and we get to be like, they have it better than we do, right? Like, but not the roots of like, I went there. What the heck? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so interesting now because for most of my ministry, I've not been near my folks. And this has been new. Because when my kids were little, they really couldn't fulfill the role of grandma and grandpa. But now that we're closer, because we're also entering into the what do you call it? Like the sandwich generation, where like your kids are in college, but like your parents aren't getting any younger.
Yeah.
And the complexity, and Matt, my prayers are with you. The complexity of these new relationships, where and my folks aren't there yet, but again, it's just an interesting place to be, and I'm thankful that I'm close enough physically to get to them, and they help with like transportation too, because like I said, my kids go to school 40 minutes away from the house, and sometimes that's impossible.
Right.
For me to go get them, and they've been gracious to do that. So yeah, it's been a unique transition, and I was appointed in July, right? So I'm in like my third worship series with them. The first one I did is telling your story. What's your story? So on my first Sunday, I preached on my favorite verse, which is "We are all one in Christ," and that's not a world of grayness. That's a world in which there is still Jew and there is still Greek, but the animosity between them has been crushed by the weight of the cross and in the empty tomb. So let us recognize and give thanks for our uniqueness, but let that uniqueness not be a means of ammunition against each other, right? So, but then I passed out index cards and asked them, what is your favorite verse? Like, what is your favorite story or song or, whatever? And I collected those, and that then was the basis of the next few Sundays for a couple reasons. One, it gives me a very quick snapshot of who they are, right? If all of their favorite verses are, "Behold, I saw a new heaven and a new earth," okay, well then collectively there is some trauma and they're looking for healing, right? Or if collectively their favorite verse, like for my former congregation, their favorite verse was Jeremiah 29:11, "I know the plans I've made for you." So there was this kind of, they generally speaking leaned into the providence of God. And what does that mean, right? In order to preach with them and to walk with them in their journey. Here, grace came up, and I'm trying to think of the exact verse that it was. But I don't think it was one common verse, but it was a common theme. Like, okay, well, interesting. The grace seems to be at the heart of who they are and what they do. Okay, so I got that snapshot, and preaching on their favorite verses. Who doesn't like to hear a story about themselves?
Right.
And I told the bands, like, do your favorite songs, like just do your favorites, right? That's fine, with some exception.
Mhm.
So it's St. Matthew's. Oh my gosh. So the morning schedule before I got here, there was a 9 o'clock traditional at St. Matthew's, a 10:30 service at Carrollton, which is contemporary, but then an 11:15 contemporary at St. Matthew's. So there was no way that that could exist with me
Right.
being in both of those places, right?
Right.
So I had to make the very popular decision to consolidate worship at St. Matthew's into one blended service at 9 o'clock. Before I set foot on campus, like even before I got there, like I had to meet with leadership remotely and craft a worship service that incorporated the band and the choir and hymns and songs all at 9 o'clock with a new worship. So like, don't ever do that unless
Right.
unless you have to. I'm not saying like when you come in, like kind of bring your own nuance to the order of worship or whatever, right? But to change the entire thing before setting foot on campus, not popular, not a popular decision, you know. But it is what it is, at least for now, to be able to facilitate that. So it has been very interesting to lean into new place, kids going to new schools, but also, oh my gosh, how often do I spend in each office? Like how much, what does it even look like? Like for today, normally I spend like the mornings at St. Matthew's and the afternoons in Carrollton. I had to flip that today because there's these bozos who wanted me to be on a podcast. So I had to be at Carrollton in the morning. It's another podcast that was earlier. I'm not talking.
Okay. Gotcha,
I'm
gotcha.
not talking about y'all. It's some other podcast. But I had to flip that. But then there's a context because they like one church expects me to be here at a certain time, and the other church expects me to be here at a certain time. It's a lot of negotiation, you know. And you have to duplicate everything. Like I just got the church conference papers yesterday,
Yep.
and I was like, oh, I have to do this twice.
We're doing this twice. Yep.
We're doing this twice. Okay, fantastic. So anyway, that's where we are. So I was talking about sermon series. The second sermon series that I did was called Breaking News, because I'm breaking news with them. And what we did is we looked at every first verse of the gospel and how that sets the tone for the rest of the gospel, right? Mark, the first verse of Mark, there's no verb. It's immediate. It's like it's the good news of Jesus. And it just starts telling the story. And that's so very Mark, right? We are to be the action within Mark's gospel. And then Matthew, it says, the son of David, son of Abraham, which means Matthew is meaning to say Jesus is a king, but a sacrificial king. And that's really kind of the vibe of Matthew, the fulfillment of prophecy, the new Moses. And then Luke has this, I have sat down and created an orderly account for you. Like, you pretentious jerk. So you're now going to write an orderly account? What mine's not good enough? Like Matthew's like calling Luke up and say, oh, an orderly account? Like, okay, jerk. What, did you go to Duke or something? Like you feel like this inflated sense of self, you know.
We know that he didn't because his first sentence wasn't I went to Duke.
I, Luke, went to Duke.
Exactly. So, and then there's John, who's like, I think John went to Iliff because we all know that
100%.
Iliff is the Mile High School.
That's right. He didn't read anything else before. He just went and was like, hey,
like, look,
I saw
man,
Jesus.
look.
Let's write this
No,
down.
it's like, no. He's like, no, shut up. In the beginning was the Word, man. And like the Word was with God. The Word was God. You know,
That's right.
and like in him is life, and life was light, and light shined in the darkness. The darkness did not overcome it. You know, like cuckoo.
That's right.
There you go. You know, so
Going back to my drum circle.
that's right. So yes, exactly. And I don't know, what did Jesus do? Like turn what? Let's start with the water to wine story. Like that sounds rad. Let's start with that. You know. Anyways, so because I was breaking news with them, and it's important for these first impressions to set the tone of what we're doing. Let's use the gospel as the skin of that, and then into September, we're doing To Kill a Mockingbird. And unfortunately, it's still timely. I'm looking for a day that all of my books float into obscurity because they're not needed, right? I hope for a day where charity isn't needed because we all have what we need. You know, I hope all pastors work themselves out of a job because the priesthood of all believers is so prevalent and so strong. We don't need lead clergy anymore because we are all so well informed with what we're doing. And I'm not saying that we're the experts, but I am saying that I would love for the church to work perfectly great communally around a round table, you know. And then we're about to jump into Tales from the Crypt, which is a cool.
That's fun.
Yes, dude. It's October, and I'd love to. I've always wanted to publish it, but Abington said no because it's too creepy. It's stories about when people came back to life. The first story is Samuel's Ghost and the Witch of Endor, which is a rad story that, like, I embarrassingly didn't know until after seminary.
Right.
Because like I skipped that day. Because the day because I was talking to my dad and I'm like, hey, I want to do this kind of creepy like October worship series where people come back from the dead and, you know, because this is Thriller kind of a thing. Right. And he goes, oh man, you should turn in your paycheck if you don't start the series with Samuel's Ghost and the Witch of Endor. I was like, the what?
The one now.
The one now? And is this like a Star Wars legacy book? Like, what do you mean the Witch of Endor? Like, what are you talking about? And yeah, this is Bozo's story of Saul, who's nervous. He's about to go fight the Philistines and he's nervous. And he first expels all the mediums and witches from the land because his fragility was showing. And I have to be large and in charge. But immediately he gets nervous. He goes, hey man, can y'all go find me a witch in the woods? So not even his own rule does anyone follow. Right. No one's even following his own rules, you know. And then I love this. It says he put on other clothes to go to the woods. The Hebrew for other clothes is akin to treachery. He put on treachery, like he's becoming the thing he hates. And he meets with this medium. He's like, conjure up a spirit for me. And she's like, don't you know what Saul did? You know, and like us as a reader, we're like, oh man, this story is so juicy because she doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
Saul.
Yeah, of course he knows.
So good. Yeah. I was like, oh, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. Like nothing bad's gonna happen to you if you do this thing for me. Actually, in Hebrew, that sentence is incomplete. He's like, should you do this? Nothing. Anyway, so, and she does. She conjures up Samuel's ghost, and from where? Like Sheol, I guess. Like. From like, let's see, men are from Mars, women are. So from Mars, he conjures up. She's conjures up Samuel, and Samuel is like the cave of wonders in Aladdin. He's like, who disturbs my slumber? You know, it is I, Gazim, a servant. That's right. Know this. I could do that whole movie.
So now we have to pay for Thriller. Now we have to pay for Aladdin. We're doing great on this podcast today.
Exactly. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. So fun fact, I can quote in real time in a sermon anything I want to, except for Winston Churchill.
Oh, interesting.
You can't, as far as I'm aware, you can't quote Winston Churchill royalty free. Spoken, like not print, not in a show, but like spoken in real time. I think you're supposed to quote Winston Churchill.
Interesting.
Anyway, so Samuel is conjured. He's like, who disturbs my slumber? And Saul's like, oh, like, tell me what to do. The Philistines are really bothering me and I don't know what to do. And Samuel's like, oh, is God silent? Oh, is God silent with you? Is he not telling you what the plan is? So why are you bothering me about it? He goes, okay, if you want a prophecy, you and your sons will be with me tomorrow. Like, oh, snap. Oh, wow. That was a burn. Yeah, like I chose poorly. Like the end of Last Crusade. He chose poorly. And then the witch feeds him and his men, and sure enough, next day he's cut down in battle, and Samuel was right. And there's a lot of footnotes and all of that. So all that to say, and then we do Elijah and the widow Zarephath, the raising of Jairus' daughter, and then ultimately on All Saints Sunday, the raising of Lazarus.
Oh, nice.
Is how that does. So, transition as a clergy person, transition. Your first sermons are really super important. Which is why the first sermon series is all about them. What verses do you like? Who are you? Because in your first year of ministry, you should be a lover and a historian. Learn who you people are, and love them for who they are. Right? Because there's a whole history that you're dealing with. And oh my gosh, because I know someone followed me. Kelly Byrne followed me at Asbury, and the sins of our predecessors that we learned. Because there's always this moment where you're like, why did that idiot do it this way?
Right.
Like, why? That's so dumb. And then you're thinking like, oh my gosh, Kelly's saying the exact same thing about me, like right now. Because look, Pastor Kelly, she's now looking at her church conference paperwork, and she's sifting through the file, and she right now is saying, that idiot, why did Matt Rawle do it that way? Like, that's so dumb, and I mean, I bet it's every day. I bet it's part of their morning devotion at Asbury is like, why did that idiot do it that way? That's so dumb. Anyway, so that first sermon series is learning who they are and getting that snapshot of them, and then breaking news, right? Like, I'm breaking news, you're breaking news to me. Like, let's get over the fact that all of this is voyeuristic right now. We're just going to have these awkward moments of getting to learn who people are, and how do you communicate with them? Because, introvert, extrovert, there's some folks who love when you joke with them, and there's some folks who think joking as a pastor is apostasy. And like, what are the inside jokes? What's the inside language? What's the, all of these things. And the better we can say, like, hey, things are going to be awkward. And look, I know I'm trying to impress you. And I know that you're trying to impress me. And when we both articulate that out loud, we'll get to some real authenticity sooner rather than later, Yeah. And then, oh my God, don't change Christmas Eve. What's wrong with you? Like, don't, because my first thing is both congregations have a 6 o'clock Christmas Eve service. I'm like, okay, here we go, baby. Here we go. How is this going to work? And the only thing I promised them is, like, we will sing Silent Night. Like, I promise we will do
that. Have you tried to go out into the bayou and summon the ghost of Samuel to preach one of the Christmas Eve services?
Not yet. I haven't been brave enough to do that. Now, I did one year, ill-advisedly. We did. I don't even know if that's a word, but it fits.
It works. I know exactly what it means.
Oh, I heard a phrase. Okay, so I heard. I'll get to the Silent Night in a minute. I heard a phrase I've never heard before, and if you're in New Orleans, apparently it's a thing. So there are different. Okay, New Orleans has the city of New Orleans, not the surrounding areas, but the city of New Orleans has something like 72 neighborhoods, like these 72 unique flavors of community of people. So Carrollton, for example, is considered the University District of South Carrollton in the Garden District. So we're right by Tulane and Loyola. They're kind of in our backyard. So we are the University District of South Carrollton. And then from there, so you have New Orleans, but then you have like East New Orleans, you have the West Bank, you have Metairie, which is where a lot of folks live, and then you have Kenner, which is even beyond that, right? And I heard a phrase the other day. Much love to all of your listeners from Kenner, which is where the airport is. Someone was describing someone who wasn't all there. They just EGR, extra grace required. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need extra grace. A couple of sandwiches short of the picnic. You know what I'm saying? And when they were talking about it, and someone interrupted, and they said, "Oh, they're from Deepkinner," and I love like I've never heard that phrase, but I think it fits. It kind of fits. Oh, they're from Deepkinner, you know. And what I mean by something that fits and doesn't fit, I one year tried to get super creative with Silent Night, and it did not work. We did, and it's not bozo, like we did David Crowder's Silent Night, right? So for most of it is exactly like Silent Night, and then it like blows up into this like bluegrass, like banjo kind of a thing, and people treated me as if like I took the baby Jesus as if baby Jesus was a football and just threw it into the wind as far as I could throw it. Like it was a nightmare. And people were like, don't ever do that again. I was like, no, lesson learned, man.
Done. Yeah,
lesson learned.
You're going to tell me twice.
Look, I'm not a smart man, but I learned real quick. Yep. So I promised both of these communities, like, look, I don't know what Christmas Eve is going to look like because of time and location and all these things. We will do Silent Night, I promise. Right. We did do something really cool for Holy Thursday. The end of the Holy Thursday service, because we kind of stripped the altar and we take all the paraments off, and we, but when we did that, we actually processed out with candles, kind of like Christmas Eve. And we did Silent Night in a minor key. I think we might have talked about that.
We've talked about that because I stole it from you.
Done that. Yeah, we both have done that since.
Yes. It's how I end my Good Friday service, right?
Yeah.
We put out the candles, we hear the gong, and then it's Silent Night in a minor key.
Silent night, holy night.
But I don't make them sing it. I just make them listen to the very uncomfortable minor key.
Some homework to do. Trust in the force, man. Trust in the force.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Not on Christmas Eve.
No, let's not screw up Christmas Eve, friends. Let's not do that, right? Yeah. Let's get Jesus born, and then remind everyone of end of the year giving, and then and then come January, then we can flex a little bit.
We can play with Silent Night a little. Yeah,
people are looking. Look, it's cold. I'd say it's cold. Like I forget who I'm talking to. It's January's cold. It's like maybe 50s. It's like the low 50s.
Yeah.
It is almost the season where Zach starts sending you the how cold it is things. I mean, we're getting
for those of you who
time.
Don't know. Yeah, for those of you who only know Matt and Zach from this podcast, what you don't know is Zach's obnoxious texts that he sends me of the weather in Bozeman. Right? I'm just like now I mean, he'll say like it's like I don't know 27 feet of snow in February. But on days where like I'm dying because it's 114, he'll just send me, 70 and sunny, like living it up in Bozeman.
That's right. It's currently 66, just so you know.
Oh God, I don't even know what is it in here. It's 88. It's 88 and sunny.
It's a nice warm 60 degrees here. 60 degrees here today. So, yeah, I always find
you both weren't so attractive, we wouldn't be friends. But anyway, go. It's the beard.
It's the beard. Yeah,
that's what it gets most people.
We all three of us have been in that space of being in that new, with new congregations, and I think you're right. Like, trying to figure things out at right out the gate, because it's not like a normal transition you'd have in a lot of situations where like you kind of transition in. It's almost like July 1 starts, boom, like you're on. I mean, I remember when I moved into an appointment where literally we were moving in the house and I got a pastoral call saying so-and-so's in the hospital, we need you to be there. And that's always the hard part of finding that time and space to like, get situated, all the things that go into that, because there's a lot to it. It doesn't mean that like that first Sunday, like you had everything all put together. There is definitely some healthiness of like using some stuff that we've gone through before. I think that's always a healthy way of doing it. And I always start with telling my story and say, I want to get to know yours. Way they know where I came from. And I always find that to be helpful for, at least in the situation I have been in, that I'd like for them to get to know me a little bit and then I want to and then just turn the tables and say, I'd like to get to know you. And that's what we're here to do. And so we can do this thing called faith together.
Well, if we can kick the pedestal out from under ourselves first, then we can mess with things like Christmas Eve.
I've gotten that compliment before where someone said, "You're so human."
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, good. I'm glad that's your measure of a pastor's success."
Right. Well, and it was funny
because I've mastered that.
As you were talking about, moving the services into one blended service, I was like, we just did that 2 weeks ago. Yes. It's going really well. I will say, I had initially had this like master plan.
How'd that work out?
Well,
he's 3 years into it.
When my dad's health deteriorated, my nice like 9-week plan got shifted to basically like 3 weeks. So everything I had planned out like literally shifted. But I will say the fact that they went with me was because of the buy-in of us getting to know each other and these conversations that we had over, because that was the first conversation we had here. Like, when are we going to one service? Like, we have the same pastor. We should go to one service and all these things. Like, no. Like, I literally had every rationale why we couldn't do it. And then finally there was this space where it's like, oh no, we need to be doing this. It was literally the Spirit that was like, and everybody affirmed it. And so like, so far, wow. 2 weeks in, it's been pretty dang good, pretty well received. Everybody's gotten their space. This will be the first week for the choir, so we'll see how that goes after this. After this week, we'll pretty have a good rhythm, and I'm excited about it. And I think that's the hard part of what we do, is that we go from being in one space and one system to a whole new system, and now you're in two systems. And Zach and I have been in those places where we've had multiple congregations and things to manage. That's even more chaotic. I mean, I know there'll be a day where I'll be back in a 2-point charge because of just the nature of where things are going right now. And I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that, because that's a lot of like project management that my Excel spreadsheets may not be able to handle like they can right now.
Well, and it's physics, right? So in physics, you can predict the orbit of two bodies orbiting each other, right? So me and the congregation, there's learnings there. We can predict the orbit of two bodies in orbit with each other. Add a third, and it becomes impossible. Right. You cannot. There's no supercomputer that can predict 3 objects orbiting each other. Right. And the complexity of all those things. You're exactly right.
It's a conversation that we have a lot up here, right? Like, just in my area, we're trying to, in Montana, we're trying to do circuits and do circuit elders and things like that. And because I don't know if you know, our conference is like 5 billion square acres or square miles. We're a third of the United States just for our conference, right? In my little area around Bozeman, there's 9 United Methodist churches and 4 pastors. And I'm the only one that has a full-time single church appointment. Everybody else is covering 2, 3, 4 churches in some cases. And that's all over our conference, right? How do we be 8th time somewhere, because that church just can't afford a pastor, but they're close enough to yoke you with somebody else, right? And how do you navigate all of that? There's not an answer, right? Like, and every one of those you step into is different. We can be really good at it in one place and step into it in the next, and our box tricks don't work, right? Because the congregations are different. They're different communities. They're different people. They rhyme, but they're different. And so we have that conversation a lot about how and where we show up, and knowing that sometimes the 3-quarter church is going to need your time, like you're a full-time pastor, and sometimes the quarter-time church is going to need you the same.
Exactly. And I've heard it described as it's the same word, but in different fonts.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's fun to navigate, right? And in saying all that it's hard and interesting, but it also is really cool and faithful work, because you get to be creative in a space that maybe otherwise you couldn't be creative in, right? As you get to know your folks and know what they want and where they lean, and be like, I know I can do this here, and I know I couldn't get away with it here, so let's just lean in.
Well, I think it makes all of us better pastors, right?
Absolutely.
Because we can be so insulated and thinking the way that I am preaching and the way that my congregation receives this must be some universal
Right.
thing,
Right.
right? If you just, especially when we find something that is fruitful and successful, and we put this person on a stage and we say, "Hey, tell us about the thing that you're doing," and you're like, "Oh, I made ice cream on a Tuesday for the kids in the aftercare program, and that is the way to grow the church." Well, when you serve more than one place, that myth is thrown out the window.
Right out the window.
You learn very quickly that, like, just like you said, this might work here, this might not work here. So, and there's only one of me. So I need to figure out a way for this to be palatable in more than one place, in relatively the same amount of time. There was a class I took in seminary which mimics this, which is one of the most valuable classes I took. It was a preaching class where we delivered a sermon of our own choosing, like whatever. But then we chose 3 variables out of a hat. So there was one variable about the people. So like it was either like a holiday weekend, or there was a death in the congregation, or the community, it's game day or something, right? There was some kind of variable about the people. And then there was a variable about the space. Like you just went through a renovation, or you're in need of a renovation, or the power went out, or whatever. And then there was another variable about the community at large, right? So like there was a blow up at the PTA meeting, or the prices of eggs is really high, or some kind of communal, and you had to take the same sermon, the same text, the same sermon, and now adapt it to those variables and preach it again. And the point is for the truth not to change, right? Don't give a different gospel with these variables. The truth needs to be the same, but the skin, the medium through which you are delivering it, might look radically different. And that was really valuable. And being in 2 places, I'm kind of leaning and learning, and in real time with that, because I don't preach 2 different sermons.
Right.
I mean, I suppose I could, but that neither is efficient nor authentic.
Right. Right. No,
Yeah,
and that's, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and what seminary was that at? Because I feel like we're trying to score some foundational points, or try to at least have us have something connection with Duke, since we have a lot of Dukies on.
That's right. I went to the, as I told Bishop Hutchinson when he wrote me the recommendation letter, I'd like to give you an opportunity to write a recommendation letter to the best seminary United Methodism has to offer. And there it is. Me and my grandmother had a huge problem with me going to Duke. She said, "Matthew," she was from Mississippi, Moss Point, Mississippi. "Matthew, are you aware that their mascot's the devil?"
but he's blue.
Yeah, I was like, "It's a blue devil. It's totally fine. It's totally different." Yeah. Well, it's so that we can fight the demon deacons. Like, pick your poison.
Yeah.
So right. Yeah. "Matthew, are you aware that their mascot's the devil?" Anyway, so
I love it. Matt, I'd have this conversation with you all day, because I think it's an important one, right? Especially in our United Methodist world, where we have both clergy who listen to this podcast, but also lay folks who are welcoming in, or have welcomed in, new clergy July 1, and are navigating everything that you've talked about, and getting to know a new pastor, or settling in for a 3rd or 4th or 5th year with an old pastor who's still doing whimsical things, trying to figure it out, messing with Christmas Eve all the time. So
that's right.
I mean, we did break, Zach, we, like, knock on wood, we did break our 3-year curse, where we made it through the 3rd year where neither one of us moved.
That's right. Started the 4th year somewhere.
That was a random. Yeah. Both of us together. 4th years. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Feels weird, actually.
I'm still unpacking the trauma from when you told me you were leaving Cheyenne to go to Bozeman.
I'm still just unpacking, because
still literally unpacking.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having you on today, Matt. And you can go find all of Matt's books on Amazon, or even at mattrawle.com or org or church, or
mattrawle.com.
Okay, mattrawle.com,
which is currently being rebuilt.
Nice.
We're rebuilding it and retooling it. So yeah.
We'll have to have you back on to unpack some of the Hub for Innovation and some other cool things you have coming up.
Yes, that book is coming out. So the Hub for Innovation is called Dare, Dream, Disrupt. is the title. Rachel Billups and I are writing it together. That will be on the shelf sometime around May of next year.
Yeah.
So that'll be, and that's with the National Council of Churches. It's called Friendship Press. And that's about our process of curiosity, leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation. And then after that, because there's not enough hours in the day, my next big boy book is called Isaiah for the People, the Prophet of Protest. And that will be out in August of next year. So a book coming out in May, another one coming out in August, and then two more coming out in 2 more years. But we'll talk about that later.
Maybe
like
we'll
it.
make it on the back of the jacket of one of those. Maybe one day.
We'll see,
One
baby.
day.
I mean, you know,
Not if Duke's paying for it. Huh?
not if Duke's paying for it. You
I
know,
mean, this is the 8th time you've been on the show.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh my
I
gosh.
am working up some kind of poster for you to put on that beautiful black wall that says I've been on the Bearded Theologians podcast 8 times.
Look at the blank canvas. You look at this is my office at Carrollton, and there's just today I got furniture delivered. So there's a blank canvas behind me that
we
needs
will, we will definitely
Bearded
get you
Theologian.
something that will look
Please.
good.
Please do.
Listeners, thank you for listening. You can find us online at beardedtheologians.com for all of our cool stuff. It's getting even close to Pastor Appreciation Month. Matt Rawle has moved into a new space, so he needs some stuff that says Bearded Theologians on it. So feel free to buy some and send it to him. That would be even better. So for the Bearded Theologians, I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
Subscribe and like this video and push that thumbs up.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media outlets. You can check out old episodes and more information at beardedtheologians.com. Thanks for checking us out.